It has been a difficult time for fans of the original Settlers game series, who in recent years have started to look for something that scratches that itch from the first few Settlers games. This is a result of the more modern Ubisoft Settler titles not staying true to the old formula. Too many changes in the wrong direction have turned this once great city builder into a shadow of its former self, and it's lacking the depth and charm that once defined it. Pioneers of Pagonia, an indie title that released a couple days ago in early access and is being directed by the original Settlers founder, Volker Wertig, is probably the best game out there right now when it comes to replicating that magic feeling from the older games, while also not trying too hard to be a mere Settlers ripoff, because dedicated fans are already agreeing on one thing. This game is, in certain aspects, even better than the very first Settlers game. Let's take a look at it and you will see why so many people enjoy this game right now. First, we'll need to know what exactly this game is about and how it intends to entertain us players. The answer to this is actually pretty simple. Pioneers of Pagonia is a city builder with its absolute focus and dedication on exploration, discovery and economic development. And even though there is a lot of depth to its economy system, it is not overwhelming and actually feels pretty simple, in a good way. And before you click away because you'd also like a certain military aspect, don't worry, the game has that too, and in just the right amount, in my opinion. There is actually no campaign in Pioneers of Pagonia. Instead, you can either choose from some predefined maps that are great for learning the ropes, or you can do what most of us will probably do most of the time, customizing your own map and setting it up exactly the way you want to play. You can choose to play with enemies or without enemies, how many enemies and camps there are, and if you'd like to see more difficult or more easier ones, you can of course also adjust the composition of your island. Once that is done, we are all set and our journey begins, and it does so with our ship of course. When you start a game, you have a predefined number of units and resources that you can immediately use to get your settlement going. And as you start building the basic production chains first, you will immediately notice how rich in detail this game is. Every single production and work step, no matter how tiny, is animated and will comprehensively and visibly be executed by your pioneers, while other games will often skip over these simple tasks and just consider them done by magic or whatever. In this game everything is traceable and an actual task that your pioneers need to do in order to get stuff done. And that makes it immediately 100 times cooler to admire and observe the village you're building. Take the bread production for demonstration. In order for the windmill to get started, you'll notice the carrier is bringing them the required wheat. They are then loading it into the crunching machine, and once that's done, preparing a basket of flour to be delivered to the bakery, which is done by another carrier. Arriving at the bakery, you'll also see everything just as detailed as the food workers are utilizing water and flour to make dough, and ultimately bread, that is then being delivered to the assigned storage. This is just one example, and every single production chain is as rich in detail. The way you expand your borders in this game is also actually really cool. You have these guard towers, and with them, you can assign guards to a location where you would like to expand. This is another aspect where the attention to detail and the intricacy in the gameplay elements shows. Your guards will need border stones in order to expand, and those border stones are produced by your quarry mining stone, and your stonemason making border stones out of them. So you see, pretty much everything here has a purpose. Nothing is there just for show. But observing cool animations and production chains will only entertain you for so long. So what else is there to do in this game? Well, for starters, there is fighting and training military units to secure the safety of your village. There are different kinds of enemies ranging from simple bandits to werewolves and other mystical creatures. The cool thing is that both the different troops of yours and the enemies have their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, a werewolf can most effectively be killed by your fear nords, since they use a silver sword, and a silver sword does bonus damage to werewolves. So combat does exist, but it is in all honesty still very simplistic, and since this is not an RTS, you can only indirectly control your units by selecting a patrol route for them. You can't really make fine adjustments to the behavior, and that is absolutely fine in my opinion. I don't need that in a game like this at all, since it leads to more micromanaging, but I thought it's worth mentioning, in case this is a deal breaker for one or another viewer here. It's also worth noting that thankfully, the game gives you ample time to prepare for the attacks. Your first encounters with them will usually be when they come to your village to steal some stuff, which isn't that big of a deal. This is your sign that you should get started on producing weapons and armor. But even in the later stages, you will never experience a full-on raid where they are trying to burn down your entire village or something. So the entire system is pretty forgiving, but can punish you if you choose to completely ignore it. I think it's greatly balanced, to be honest. Aside from the military aspect, there are also map goals or objectives, which typically consist of you having to help out other neutral tribes by trading resources, discovering artifacts, and ultimately finding your lost people. So you definitely have other things to work on as well, besides refining your economy. Although it should be said that this is of course the focus of the game. Like I mentioned in the beginning, you can have complete control over what your map will look and play like. So if any of this doesn't appeal to you, you can just create a map without those features. Now, like in all games, there are also some points that I would like to mention that need improvement. Remember, this game is in early access for 25 euros, and it is absolutely natural for it to be missing certain features or quality assurance, and none of the things I'm going to mention severely impacted my enjoyment in the game, and I can already tell you now that I think it's worth the asking price. Anyways, it would be nice if the game saved the preferences for the display settings at the top, instead of having it reset when you're starting a new island. There does seem to be some form of minor memory leak or something, because I noticed that framerate can get a little bit lower the longer you play. And me having a 4090 graphics card that can play all optimized games on 4K ultra settings, I'm pretty sure that the culprit is not my PC. Furthermore, it would also be nice to have the ability to zoom out further. The maximum zoom feels a bit restrictive at times. The good thing is, and this is very important for an early access game, that the developers are absolutely great. I have talked to a few of them on Discord, and they truly care about the game and listen to the community. So I imagine, from now on, the only way is up, and that is saying something for an already great game. Guys, if this video was helpful, a like is very much appreciated. It really does help my video's performance. See ya.